Besties, being a black girl in Korea. It's my time to shine because I can talk about this. If you're ready to know everything, and I mean every single detail about living in Korea, about what you need to think about and prepare, if you're coming to Korea to visit or you're going to live in Korea and you're a black woman, a black man, woman of color, or someone who feels like you would relate to this, even if you don't feel like you're going to relate and you just want to hang out with me, I'm all here for it, boo. Stay tuned. So I'm gonna get right into this video. So listen, so the basics for South Korea. The first thing you need to think about is the money. You are going to be using South Korean won when you go to Korea. Now, you can change money at different spots in your home country, your bank, or also at the airport, which is what I normally do. For the money, there are ATMs all around the city, especially if you go to Seoul. Bigger cities will have ATMs that are accessible, especially for if you're using a foreign card. If you are using a foreign card and you're going to like a smaller city, like where I lived, Naju, there's no banks that will be able to help you. So if you're going to a smaller city, I suggest taking cash with you because you never know if you'll be able to use your card or not. That's just a word to the wise. Next, languages. Now, Koreans typically speak some English. People will lie and say they don't, but most Koreans study English all throughout primary school and middle school and high school and even college. So some people know Korean, know English. They probably just have forgotten a little bit, so they might feel a little bit shy. But the language would be Korean and English. So if you're coming to Korea, I suggest you learn a few words in Korean, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But also know that you'll always find someone who speaks a little bit of English, like always. Cell phones. Now, if you're going to Korea, I have T-Mobile. That's not sponsored, but I have T-Mobile, and when I go to Korea, because of the plan that I have, it switches to roaming for me, and I don't get charged extra, so I can use it all over. I've used it in London, I've used it in Singapore, in Korea, and so I haven't had a problem or needed to get a SIM card. However, if you do find yourself in Korea and you need to get a SIM card, I would suggest getting one when you get to the airport. It's super simple. There are a bunch of stalls where you can find SIM cards. You can also, once you get into the city of Seoul, you can find SIM cards at different convenience stores, but I would recommend getting it first when you get to Korea at the airport because it's gonna be the easiest way. It might be a little bit more expensive, obviously, because it's the airport, but it's gonna be the easiest way for you to have access to a SIM card right off the plane. And a lot of the times, the one that I bought for one of my clients who came to my Korea tour, it came with a pouch, and it came with a little, you know, those little devices that you can poke your phone to open the SIM card. It came with one of those, so you don't have to worry about that. So she was very happy and everything worked fine. So if you do get a SIM card from a convenience store, I can vouch and say that it works, but I would suggest getting one from the airport. All right, so the Korean time zone, they're in the GMT UTC plus 9-hour time zone, and they do not have a daylight saving time. So make sure that you kind of know the different time zones and when you get to Korea, kind of check to see what the world time zone is for wherever you're from. For me, I'm in Los Angeles, so I'm about 15-16 hours behind Korea. So whenever I go to Korea, I have to make sure I check, okay, what time is it in LA? Like, okay, I can send this message at this time and they'll get it at this time, blah, blah, blah. So it really does help if you study this before you go to Korea, so you'll know when to expect messages back from people back home, especially if you're working in Korea. If you're working and you're living in Korea, but you're working in a foreign country, you definitely want to know the time zone and how that's going to change based on where you live. Next, the airport that you're going to be coming into is Incheon International Airport. Now, this airport is about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes away from the city center of Seoul. So if you're going to get there, you're going to need to take some type of transportation to get from the airport to wherever you're going to be staying in Seoul. It's easiest to go to Seoul based on, if you're going to take a train. There are many different ways, but the easiest way is to take a taxi. It is more expensive. It's about 100,000 won, which in American dollars is probably like $98 or probably like $90. But if you are wanting to explore and you're adventurous, you could also check out buses or trains that they have to the city center, and then you can go to wherever you're gonna go from there. So just know that you're gonna have to travel a little once you get off the plane and get to where your transportation is, you're gonna have to travel about an hour before you actually reach Seoul. All right, so this next one I had to write down because I couldn't remember the name. So for the outlets, now I didn't know this going to Korea and I wish I did. So make sure you guys buy a universal outlet. I'll link it down below, the one that I have, and it's, I mean, just chef's kiss, it's awesome. But get a universal outlet because if you don't, you'll short circuit your stuff and it'll just be a whole nightmare. So they use the F, I believe, it's called the F outlet, type F, which are 2 prongs, and then also a type C, which are 2 prongs. I'm like, Now, and it's 220 volts. So make sure you guys check that out before going to Korea, because if you don't, you'll not be able to charge a lot of things. I would also suggest, and the one that I'm gonna show you below will also have this, but if you're gonna go to Korea, make sure you get, a charger or a universal charger that has USB ports, because Korea has a lot of USB ports and stuff like that, and it's easier for you to charge things using a USB cable as opposed to actually plugging things in. So keep that in mind. Last but not least are important phone numbers to know. Now first, the tourist helpline is 1330. Now when you get to Korea and you type in this number from any Korean phone, you'll be able to reach the tourist line. Also for the emergencies, I'm talking like if you're, fire or something like that, super emergencies, you're gonna dial 119, which is the equivalent to America's 911. So you'll be able to call emergency with that number. Also, if you need the police, you're gonna dial 112. So those are the important numbers to know. Even if you don't remember anything else from this video, remember those numbers in case you need help, because it's always about your safety, besties, and I love you. Now let's get into this nitty-gritty of this video. I got so much to share with you. Let's go. Okay, besties, so let me just preface this. I have my notes here, and there's a lot going on with this video because there's so much to say. So if you see me look down, it's because I have so many notes and I don't want to forget anything. Now, let's talk about the Black girl packing list. Now, I'm saying Black girl because I'm a Black woman, and I know how hard it is to travel to another country and not find what you need, because there's certain things that we have, whether it be a bonnet or a silk, pillowcase or hair products that are gonna work with our hair and not cause breakage. So that is why I'm making this video, because I wish that I had me when I first went to Korea, because there were so many things that I did not know, so many things that I was not prepared for, and that's the reason for me making this video. So please don't feel offended if I'm saying Black women. I'm specifically talking to Black women because I myself am a Black woman and I have gone through this, and I know some of the things that I wish someone would have told me. With that being said, let's talk about the packing list, shall we? So first, one of the things I really want to talk about is your hair care products. If you're coming to Korea, there are a few things you should definitely bring. I would bring moisturizer, bring your own moisturizer. I would bring gel, edge control. These things are, if you find them in stores, you won't find them in Korean stores. However, there is a store called Itaewon Beauty Supply, which is super far. It's like an hour and a half outside of Seoul. And that's the one beauty supply store that really sells like a bunch of imported hair products. And the prices are super inflated because they're imported, obviously, so they're gonna cost more. If you can bring these things for yourself, I would suggest doing that, because obviously it's gonna be cheaper for you. But if you're okay with doing that and you're willing to go the hour and a half to go to this beauty supply store, let's say you live in Korea, do your thing, boo. But I would bring these things just, ahead of time, even if you're, not gonna stay for very long, just so that you have them. So edge control, I would also bring a crochet needle if you're into crocheting. I know that those are hard to find in Korea. Hair accessories, so like if you have braids or locks and you wanna do little cute little pins and things in your hair, you won't find those in Korea very easily, so I would bring those if I were you. Protective hairstyles, depending on how long you're gonna be there, we'll talk about that a bit later. Also, a silk pillowcase. It was very hard to find pillowcases that would, pillowcases in general, but a silk pillowcase is definitely needed. Also a bonnet, your shampoo, and your conditioner, because for your hair, you can use a lot of the communal, if you go to a Korean spa or something like that, you're gonna find hair care products that are there and readily available. However, if you are a Black woman, you know that you have certain products that work very well with your hair and certain products that don't. And in Korea, what I found is that one size does not fit all. Some of the products do not fit for my hair type, my hair texture. For that reason, I would say bring your own shampoo and your own conditioner and research to see if you're able to get it. I know Amazon works in Korea too, so I've had delivered Amazon to myself before for hair products as well. So get those down, because if you don't, it can be kind of hard. Your hair will be feeling kind of rough, and we don't want that. Okay, sis. Hairstyles, protective hairstyles. Now listen, this could be wigs, this could be weaves, this could be sew-ins, this could be braids, this could be mini twists, this could be locks. Whatever you want to do for your protective style, I highly, highly, highly recommend protective styles for your hair when you are in South Korea. The reason why, the climate in Korea, and depending on when you go, it's either super humid or it's very dry and cold. And so what I noticed was that, and plus the water in Korea is harsh and it's harder, and there's a lot of calcium in the water. That all means that your hair is going to take a brutal beating, and my hair began to not fall out, but it began to break off when I was in Korea, when I did not have a protective style in place. So if you're going to be in Korea for a while, more than I'd say 2 weeks, I would have a protective style just to keep my hair safe from the climate itself. You can definitely wear your natural hair, of course, but just know that with natural hair, and I'm speaking from experience and trauma, that with your natural hair, you don't know what it's gonna do. Like if you wear a wig or something like that, it's pretty standard. Like you know kind of how it's gonna look all day. It's gonna probably have the same look. But if you go outside, and let's say you have your natural hair, and let's say you do a wash and go. Your hair's looking cute, you got the little gel on it, it looks great. And then you go outside and the humidity hits, and then you end up looking like, I tried to warn you. Just protective styles are good. If you're gonna do a protective style and you live in Korea, let's say you move to Korea, then I would suggest bringing your first supply of hair. If you're not a braider, then there's a braiding shop in Korea that does pretty good. I mean, they're okay. They're not awesome, but they're pretty good. And if you do your own braids, then you could just go to Itaewon Beauty Supply, and you can get hair from there every few months and then braid your hair, which is what I did. I would braid my own hair every few months, and it saved me money, but it also helped me to keep my hair healthy. So if you're planning on coming to Korea, I highly suggest protective styles. Just keep it simple on yourself, sis. Keep it simple on yourself. Also, if you're gonna wear wigs, be careful, because people are curious and they will point out if your wig is lifting or if your glue is showing. People will actually point it out to you and they will say stuff to you, and it can be embarrassing. So especially if you're working with young kids, I know a lot of people are English teachers, so they will literally look at you, point, talk, touch, all that stuff. So be careful with that, and just make sure it looks kind of, you know, seamless and natural if you're gonna go for that look. Your next thing to bring is your makeup. Now bring the makeup in your shade. I'm talking concealer, foundation, and if you're coming in the summertime, bring powder. I cannot stress that enough, because your makeup will sweat off before you even hit the train station. I literally was just in Korea about like a week ago, and everything that I put on would like melt off before, I mean, walking outside in like 5 minutes. The humidity is real. So if you're going to Korea in the summer, make sure you bring a good powder, also a good setting spray, because the heat is just, whew, child, okay? Also, make sure that you guys, I know that a lot of places now in Korea, well, not a lot, but there's some places that sell Fenty. Now, Fenty was not in Korea when I first went. There were no dark shades in Korea, and so I was left to my own devices. I will say that there are more now. However, there are few and far between. So, like the other day when I went to the store there, they gave me a sample and I was like, hey, a sample. And when I looked at it, it was like for a white person, like for a person that was not my color. And I put it on just like my hand and I was like, oh my gosh, like I would look like a ghost if I put this on. But it's just because that's I mean, they would just give it out to everyone, which is kind, thank you. But it wasn't gonna fit my skin type. So really make sure that you have enough makeup to fit your skin type, because that's something that can be hard to find. All right, besties, let's talk about clothes. My hair is doing a whole situation. Let's talk about clothes. Okay, so if you are coming to Korea and you're a black girl and you're thick, or you have a bit of weight, or you are curvy, or you are voluptuous, bring your own jeans. Bring your own jeans, bring 2 or 3 good pairs of jeans or skirts, because you will not, and I repeat, you will not find jeans in Korea that fit you. I can guarantee it, especially if you're tall. I'm 5'9", and I've never, ever, in all the 4 years, found jeans that fit me. And so bring your own jeans or skirts. I found skirts in Korea. I can't believe I'm sharing this story with you. I found a skirt in Korea, skirts that do fit, because my top half is pretty small. But it didn't fit if I tried to pull it up. So what I had to do was put it on over my head and then shimmy it down, and that's just awkward. So bring jeans and skirts that fit you, and you won't have to deal with that problem. Next, comfortable shoes. Listen, if you're over a size 7.5, boo-boo. It's gonna be hard for you to find some shoes. Yes, you can find male shoes, and you can also find shoes online, but ain't nobody got time for that. Bring shoes that fit you, that are comfortable for you, especially if you're going in the summer. There's a lot of walking and a lot of steps in the train station, so you wanna make sure you're comfortable, because your feet will get blistered if not. So you wanna make sure that you bring shoes that are comfortable. 2 or 3 good pairs of shoes, one a heel, maybe a tennis shoe, and then a sandal, depending on the weather. Obviously, if you're going in the winter time, it's super cold there, so bring boots. So think about the climate and the weather in which you're going to Korea, and then bring 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, depending on how long you're gonna be there, and how much space you have in your bags. But bring your own shoes, because it's really hard to find shoes in Korea if you are over a size 7.5. I dare say 7.5. 7.5 is pushing it, 7. So if you're over a size 7 in the US, I can't tell you what that is in other countries, but if you're over a size 7 in the US, then you're gonna have a hard time finding shoes when you go to Korea. Another piece of clothing that I highly recommend you bring, I wore this for a reason, are belts. You see, I got this little cute belt to cinch this, but like if you need a belt for your pants, or you need a belt for, you know, just like cute little belt like this, bring your own. You won't find one in Korea that fits you. Bring your own belt, sis. It's okay. Amazon has them for cheap. I got this one from Amazon. Bring your own belt, because you will not find one in Korea, and it'll be very hard once you get there. And like, let's say, and I would bring a belt, actually thinking about it, I would bring a belt just in case. If you're planning on being in Korea for more than 2 months, I would bring a belt, because when I got to Korea, I lost weight within the first 2 months, and my pants started to fit a little iffy. And I didn't have a belt, so I was like doing the roll method. I just roll them, which is awkward. So bring a belt just in case you lose some weight, because then, you know, your pants won't fit you weird and it'll feel fine. The next thing I wanna talk about is skincare. Now listen, I had never been one to talk about skincare. That was never my thing, but when I got to Korea, when I tell you my face broke out so much when I was in Korea, just because of I think at this point it was because of the mask. We were wearing masks at the time, so some places in Korea you still wear masks, and so my face, like all here, was broken out, and it was just the worst. And they turn to scars, you guys, and it just would drive me crazy. So make sure you have a skincare routine in place. The reason why I'm saying this is Korea is the capital of beauty care, of skincare, of facial care. Here's the deal. With women who are melanated like myself and you, Queen, sometimes the products that are given to us in Korea have a certain skin brightening property within it that tend to, I mean, it's not as horrible as bleaching, but it's up there. And so I steer clear from stuff like that. So I bring my own like facial wash and stuff, or like moisturizers, and I use whatever is in Korea that I think is cool for that. So there's definitely great skincare products. I'm not saying don't use them, but I'm just saying watch out if you do buy Korean skincare products for anything that says skin brightening, skin lightening, skin whitening, anything like that, because the beauty standard here is to have lighter skin, more fair skin, and that is pushed in the media, it's pushed in beauty products, and you want to just kind of steer clear from that so that you don't look crazy. I'm just trying to save you, boo. Last but not least, I want to talk to you guys. Make sure you bring your own lotion. Now listen, I don't like being ashy, and it's hard when you see another sister or brother who's ashy, right? You're like, ooh, baby, get it together, it's okay. Now, in Korea, a lot of the lotions are water-based. Water-based doesn't work well with a lot of melanated skin because we just stay ashy. Now, here's the thing. You can find good brands of lotion here in Korea. They just cost a ton of money because they're imported. If you bring your own lotion that works well for your skin, whatever works well for your skin, even if it's a small little bottle, you know, what is that brand? I can't remember. I don't remember, I'm sorry. But there's a brand that it comes in a little container like this. I'll try to insert a picture maybe. But that brand is really good to take with you because it lasts, or Eucerin is really good. Different brands like that. But what I will say is that if you're gonna bring your own lotion, bring a small container that's big enough to last you for at least 30 days. Sometimes it might not be easy to bring a huge container, but if you bring just enough to last you, then you'll be able to kind of play around and dabble in lotions in Korea and figure out which ones work for your body type. But if not, if you don't listen to me, then I know that you're gonna be calling me, Joe, I don't know what happened, I'm ashy in Korea, and I'm gonna say, listen, I got you, okay? So don't be ashy in Korea, we don't want that. Don't be ashy McPherson, we want you to stay hydrated, your body to stay moisturized. So bring your own lotion. I would also recommend bringing baby oil gel is really, really good in Korea to keep your skin moisturized. So lotion and baby oil gel, those are the things that you need to bring with you if you're coming to Korea. Now let's get into the more technical things about Korea in terms of life and living there and some of the things you're gonna experience. Really quick, besties, are you enjoying this video? I hope you are. Please say that you are. You are. Okay, great. If you're enjoying this video, I would really love your support. The way that you can support me as a content creator is by clicking the like button. It takes just a second, so go ahead and do that. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. And clicking the subscribe button. If you subscribe to my channel, it helps to get the word out. And I'm trying to show as much as I can to all my other besties out there who are just like you. And so you helping me by subscribing and commenting and engaging with my content really just brings my heart joy. So thank you for that. And so I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, talk to you later. Get back to the video. The next thing I want to talk about is a little bit more serious. Let's talk about body shape. So body shape in Korea. Now, and I'm speaking specifically for Black women, a lot of Black women are known to be curvier, to be more voluptuous. That's not saying that everyone's like that, but most people think of Black women as voluptuous and curvy and thick, and there's a lot that comes along with that when you're living in Korea. The first thing is oversexualization. No matter what you wear, you are going to be oversexualized by someone that's walking past you, or a student, or something like that, and you're gonna be fetishized. That's just the way it's gonna be, because people look at you and think, ooh, like exotic, foreign, you know. And so even if you're not wearing anything quote unquote revealing, people will look at you in that way. So you have to be prepared to kind of show the opposite of what they're thinking that you are. Also, people will shame you. I am curvier, and when you go on the train, even if you are, cause me, I'm not super big, but I'm, you know, when I sit down on the train, things spread a little. And with that being said, people will like give you looks and stuff if your bum doesn't fit like petitely in the seat, and that's just not the case for a lot of women who have a bigger derriere. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind, not to feel ashamed of your body, not to feel, you know, sad about it. people are gonna act stank sometimes, and they're gonna be a little bit rude, and they're gonna over-sexualize you because that's what's seen on TV. They see you and they go, oh, I've seen, you know, black women on TV, and oh, look at her body shape, it's different from mine, blah, 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 blah. Keep that in mind when going to Korea, because that's something that definitely can get to you if you don't think about it ahead of time. So you're good. Oh, you're all good no matter what size you are. You are beautiful, bestie. Just know that, and don't let anyone make you feel differently about that. Just know you're beautiful. Okay, let's move on. All right, bestie, so another thing you're gonna have to deal with is the false stigmas that a lot of people have about black women. Now, a majority of people, and this is no shade to my African brothers and sisters, we are all literally from Africa, so but what I'm saying is a lot of people have a negative stigma placed on Africa, in Korea, I mean, meaning that they think that African people are, you know, are like lesser because they might, I think it's how Africa is portrayed. Africa is portrayed a lot of times, even in America, as a country that's still up and coming. And there's so many beautiful parts of Africa that are very wealthy and prosperous, but we don't hardly see that. So I think that's what Korea sees. So therefore, they don't feel like a lot of Africans are like educated. And a lot of my friends are from Africa, and they're there and they're super educated. And so what I'm saying all that to say that most people, just by looking at your exterior, will assume that you're from Africa. Therefore, they will treat you differently. And then when you speak English, they will treat you differently because your accent is different. I don't know why that is. That's just the way it is. People will treat you differently. So keep that in mind, that there's a stigma placed on you, on your skin type, just because of how you look. And that's just what it is. Another thing that people often stigmatize black women is being loud and ghetto and ratchet, because that's what they see on TV. You know, so you have, you know, certain entertainers that are very loud, they're very boisterous, and that are very, you know, out there, and they assume that every black woman is that way. And so it can be kind of hard to shake that stigma, because people, like, let's say if you go out with friends to a bar or to a club, people are going to be looking to you to twerk and stuff like that. And for me, like, I don't twerk. That's not something I do. I'm not saying if you do that, no worries, go get it. But what I'm saying is people have this stigma and this thing in their mind of what you're going to be like as a black woman based on what they've seen on TV, even if they don't really know who you are. So that's something that you'll have to definitely deal with when you go to South Korea. Let's get into the topic of femininity. Now, that's a fun word to say. Femininity. When I was growing up, and I'm gonna kind of, you know, share this with you guys, but when I was growing up, I lived with a single parent, a mom, strong black woman, single parent of 6 kids, and she was not feminine. She was not traditionally feminine. And, you know, I learned to be tough, have this outer shell, you know, if you cry, you're weak type of thing. And when my mom passed away when I was 14, it was right at that age where I was still trying to figure out who I was as a young woman, and I had no idea where I was gonna get these lessons from. So I just kind of learned as I went. I've been on my own since I was 14, and I've learned as I've went along. Now I'm saying this to say that when I got to Korea, that was when I really learned a lot about femininity, about a softer side to myself, and about even things like hygiene and taking care of myself, because I saw a lot of women doing that. Now, this is not to say that women in other countries don't do that, or women in America don't do that, but I can tell you that if you come from the hood, I didn't see a lot of black women or women in my area or in my hood. I didn't see them taking care of themselves. I didn't see them like going to the sauna to get, you know, facials, or I didn't see them eating well. I saw them eating soul food, and I saw them, you know, with diabetes, and I saw them, and I'm not saying that's all, but I'm saying from what I saw. And so when I got to Korea and I saw how different women and families were, it really challenged me to learn more about hygiene and things like that. Like, I can admit I was young and I had no idea about some hygiene stuff. No one ever told me about them, and I didn't have my mom to tell me, so I didn't know a lot of these things. And so going to Korea, I was kind of smacked in the face with femininity, with, you know, traditional femininity, and with you know, taking care of yourself. And I learned there how to present myself in a more feminine and softer way. That was something that I had never done before. So my advice to you would be to come up with a hygiene routine if you don't already have one. There's no embarrassment here. It's a safe space here. I did not know anything about hygiene. I didn't know about, like, you know, your belly button, cleaning it out. I didn't know about that. I didn't, I'll be honest. But like, get your own hygiene routine in place, because it's super important, especially in Korea. A lot of women in Korea do not use deodorant because they don't have that sweat gland underneath their arms, so they don't sweat a ton. They don't have body odor. That's not the same for me or for a lot of women from the States. So make sure you like wear deodorant, and make sure, because you know, you can have, there's a smell, there's an odor. Make sure you might need to shave because hair attracts odor, things like that. And I'm telling you this because a lot of people will talk about you and about like certain odors that will happen. I had friends who people talked about in Korean and it just didn't make them feel good. So keep your eye on your hygiene, especially if you go to Korea, because a lot of Koreans are very, oops, my bad. They're very, very, very clean, and they will, you know, talk about you if you're not. So keep your eyes on that. Also, another thing that I found was I learned about femininity for me and what that looked like. I remember when I first got to Korea, I kind of had a bit of a identity crisis, because I realized for the first time that I didn't fit in, and it was weird because I spoke the language and I thought that that was going to be enough to help me feel accepted into the culture, but it wasn't. And I remember trying to wear little headbands and trying to do my makeup the same way as some of the Korean girls, and I kind of went from one end of the spectrum where I was not doing anything feminine to going all the way to the other end of the spectrum, which is totally not me. And I had to kind of level out to somewhere in the middle where I was finally like, you know what, I'm okay with where I'm at, and this is good. Like, this is cool, like, no worries. And I think that is something that I would highly encourage you to do, is to figure out whatever your femininity is. I know in Korea there's a value on being feminine, on being, you know, soft, you know, soft-spoken, very childlike in the sense of how you talk, and aegyo, things like that. And that's something I'll talk about in a second, but those things are highly valued in the culture. You know, wearing makeup and heels and looking cute. I'm 5'9", so I tower over people when I wear heels, but best believe I still wear them. But finding ways that make you feel comfortable and you feel attractive and you feel sexy and pretty, those are the things that matter the most. It doesn't matter what society says, so don't worry about that. Worry about what helps you to feel pretty and confident in yourself, and then do that to a certain extent. If, you know, wearing tube tops or shirt with like a lot of, you know, cleavage makes you feel, you might want to reevaluate, because culturally that's kind of taboo. So you want to also be aware of the culture and aware of the kind of taboo things, so that people aren't looking at you crazy and it's not a weird thing. The next thing, besties, I want to talk about is cultural acceptance. Now listen, I'm gonna say this with as much love and purity and honor and grace as I can from my experience, and I'll preface this with saying that it doesn't matter if you learn Korean, that's beautiful. But it doesn't matter if you know Korean. If you're a Black woman or a woman of color and you go to Korea, maybe you speak Korean, maybe you have friends who are Korean, you will have the most incredible friendships, you will have some wonderful experiences, you will meet some amazing people, but you will never truly be accepted into the culture because you are not Korean. People will not 100% ever take you in under their wing, never. It's just not what it is. And it's not a bad thing. It's just something that you need to be aware of, because for months and months when I first arrived, I was trying everything. Like I told you earlier, I was wearing the hair ties. I was trying to make my makeup different. I was, trying to speak softer. I was trying to dress more feminine. I was doing all these things. I was trying to lose weight. I lost a bunch of weight. Even when I lost all this weight, I was still a dark-skinned girl compared to other people. That was enough. Your skin color is enough to take you out of the race. You're never going to be fully accepted into the culture. Not to say that you won't be loved. That's not what I'm saying. But fully 100% accepted as a Korean or as someone who's, indoctrinated in the culture, that won't happen. And that's the honest truth. But it doesn't mean that you won't find the love of your life in Korea or you won't find some amazing people. It's just a lot of people still have a stigma attached to darker skin, and that's going to be hard for people to, even if they don't admit it, it's hard for them to see past it. So that's the truth. I'm just putting it out there. Don't shoot the messenger, but that is the truth from what I've experienced. Besties, let's get into prejudice and racism. Okay. A lot of people ask me if I experienced racism in Korea, and I always say not necessarily. I didn't experience racism. I experienced prejudice in Korea. And this is even my last tour that I was on a few weeks ago. By the way, if you haven't checked out my tours, check out josworldtours.com if you want to go to Korea or to Thailand with me for 2024. Let's go to Korea together, bestie. Just a shameless plug. Why not? Okay, back to what I was saying. So, what I'm saying is, when we were on tour, a majority of the women that come on my tours are women of color who don't want to travel alone or who want to have friends. And so we all band together and we go to Korea. So this particular person I was with, she's also a woman of color. And her and I were in Itaewon. It was the end of the night. And taxis would not pick us up. And when they did try to pick us up, they would try to raise the prices like 3 times. And this is the truth. We finally got a taxi and he charged us 2 times more than what we should have been charged. When we got back to the house, there was another girl who came who was not African American. She was Caucasian looking, and she paid the normal price and had no problem getting a taxi. And we waited because 5 or 6 taxis pulled off without even stopping for us. And she was able to just jump in a taxi. You are gonna experience that a lot. It's just what it is. Prejudice in that way. People will not outrightly say that it's because of your skin color, but 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. And it's been that way. And that happened multiple times since that trip, but in general, it happens all the time. So that's something you have to think about and just not let it get to you. The woman that I was with for my tour was like baffled, but I was just like, it is what it is. Like, people are gonna be people, like, it's cool. So I think that I did experience prejudice because at the end of the day, black women, black men will always be seen. I can't speak for black men, to be honest, because they might have a different experience, so I take that back. But for black women, you're always going to be seen as the lesser minority, the lesser foreigner, if you're compared to a woman of Caucasian descent or someone who looks European. You're going to always be lesser than them because they are the beauty standard. Girl could be fugly, she could be a 1 looking 1, but what I'm saying is it doesn't matter the exterior, it's the skin color that determines the skin color mixed in with if she has blonde hair or blue eyes. Blonde hair, blue eyes, dunzo. So you have to keep that in mind, that even though you're a foreigner and you could be beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful, you could be really, 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 really popular, you could be an influencer. If you are darker skinned, you will always get looked over for a Caucasian or a European looking counterpart, always. And that's just the way it is, because Korea is very focused on looks, very focused on beauty, and very focused on appearance. And so that's something to think about before coming to Korea. All right, besties, so your mental and emotional health is also something I want to take a look at. In Korea, I, as a Black woman, felt super lonely at times. If this is for if you're staying there longer term, I felt super lonely at times because there was nobody that was really like me who was experiencing what I was experiencing in my area. So I would suggest that you find community around you, whether it be a church community that's in Korea. Even if you have people that don't look like you, finding a community will help you to acclimate to those feelings and to have someone to talk to about them. Another thing that you're gonna experience is depression. It can be kind of hard, especially if you're in Korea by yourself for a long period of time. Stay connected to your friends and your family back home. That's a great way to fight depression. Bringing pictures of people and things that look like you and placing them all over your house is another great way to fight that feeling of like, ugh. Another thing that you're gonna experience is the fact that like a lot of the models in Korea don't look like you, and you're not gonna find people that celebrate your beauty as much in Korea. What I mean by that is you can go out in the world and you'll see a bunch of models who are white or Caucasian looking or European looking, a lot of Korean models who are, don't look like you. You might find 1 or 2, maybe 3 Black models spread out, but it's very rare. And so if you see that day after day after day after day, and your beauty is not celebrated outwardly, it can make you feel some type of way about yourself. So to combat that, celebrate yourself. Find the things that you find beautiful about yourself and accentuate those things when you go out. Having pictures of models and people that look like you, have them at home to celebrate them, to remember that you're in a different space, but it doesn't mean that your beauty is not beautiful. It just means that it's not as acknowledged in that place. That's something that I wish I would have known sooner, because I had a hard time really kind of getting through the mental struggle of finding out or figuring out whether or not I was beautiful in Korea, and what that looked like for me to be an attractive person, and how I would feel in society. So definitely keep that in mind, that those things are something that will weigh on your mental health, and you wanna make sure that you stay on top of that, because I can't tell you the amount of people who move to Korea, especially people who stay for a long period of time, who move to Korea and who don't go out anymore. Like, oh, hey, what's up? What are you gonna do on the weekend? And they're just like, nothing. And they stay in their room, stay at their house, in the dark, hanging out, watching movies, binge watching something. When Korea is supposed to be a place where you can be vibrant and go out and explore and figure things out. So don't let the mental health aspect of it, or just the emotional toll that it can take being a foreigner, bog you down so much that you lose sight of the experience. Like, experience as much of it as you can, because you only do live one time. So keep that in mind. All right, last but not least, I'm gonna talk to you about some cultural tips for you to keep in mind. Number 1, learn Korean. If you can learn Korean, it really will help you as a Black woman, man, or person in Korea, because remember I told you earlier that like a lot of taxi drivers wouldn't pick me up, or they were kind of hesitant when they would pick me up. Once I spoke Korean to them, and this is no lie, you can ask anybody who went with me to Korea just the last 2 weeks ago, they are 10 times nicer to me once they know that I speak Korean. Full on conversations, I'm talking knee slapping jokes, like full on just niceness, because I spoke Korean. So it opens up opportunities for you to get to communicate with the locals, but also to break down those barriers that are there. I don't even know why they're there, but because they are there, you get to break them down with learning Korean. So I would say learn Korean. The next thing I would say is learn 애교. I would never hardly say this, but I think it works. And so 애교 is basically your ability to use your voice, use your body language to be softer and cute. 애교 really works, and it helps to soften your interaction with people, which also then gives you favor with them. So for instance, if you're saying hello to someone, or you're saying thank you, in my natural voice, I would say 안녕하세요. But because when I go to Korea, I don't talk like that, I will literally raise my voice to sound higher because it sounds cuter and it sounds more feminine and more softer, and people would gravitate more towards that. So if I walked into a place, I say, oh, 안녕하세요, 안녕하세요. You see how different 안녕하세요 versus 안녕하세요. I'm also sick right now, so, but you see what I'm saying? So learning 애교 and learning how to use it to your advantage. So if someone, you know, if a taxi driver did something and I said, oh, 감사합니다, and I hold it out a little bit, it really does help to give you a bit more of social standing a bit. So 애교, definitely learn that a bit. And this goes along with 애교, tapping into your softness. Korea is a very place that really values softness, and we talked about that a little bit before. So I would say to practice that as well. And dress to impress yourself. Like, definitely read the room, because you don't want to be in something that other people are going to be dogging you for, because that will last forever. Impressions do matter in Korea, but dress to be comfortable for yourself. Okay, like, just know that you are loved, and I've made this whole video just for you because I know that you need it. So there you have it. Besties, I wish that I would have known all of this stuff before going to Korea, but here is your Black woman's guide to South Korea, everything that you needed to know. If you really got something out of this video, please like, comment, and subscribe up below. I want to know if you have any other tips or anything. Comment them below so that we can be a bestie squad that helps each other out. Also, let me know if you're going to Korea. I'll be in Korea for the next 2 months, and so if you're gonna be in Korea, type down below, tell me when you're gonna be there, maybe we can all link up. That would be really cool. And I'm also gonna be in Korea in 2024 quite a bit, so let me know when you're gonna come to Korea so that we can all hang out. I would love to meet you, love to hang out with you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to hang out with you again, besties. Have a great day or night where you're from, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.